Welcome to Trench Run for Fansided, a column in which we'll explore a single moment in everybody's favorite space saga to see what it has to say about Star Wars, the story, and us. I'm Mary Beth Ellis. Today we're discussing a few frames from The Mandalorian's third season premiere. The Armorer offered the most emotional moment in The Mandalorian's Season 3, Episode 1, and she gave it without a word. First, we need to talk about how and why this lady outclasses every single woman ever appearing in any fashion in the history of Star Wars. This matriarch charged into battle against a bomb-proof ninja gator turtle, whatever, with nothing but tongs and a hammer, and she expected that to go well. Then, with several members of her clan still under digestion, she asked her favorite apostate to take a seat, while they calmly addressed what he had to say about taking a mystic bath. Why isn't this woman on every single t-shirt in every single Disney store on the planet? Not only that, the Armorer manages to have a conversation of sorts with Baby Yoda. No one is talking about this, and yet it's some of the most significant character interaction in the entire series. When the Armorer reminded Din that he was no longer Mandalorian because he had removed his helmet, Grogu immediately turned to his father. This was news to him. Baby Yoda had no idea that Din had undergone this banning. He made a cute noise, which most people probably didn't get past, but that cute noise started low and ended high. 30 years of careful examination of R2-D2 audio tells me he was asking a question. There was a certain conversation the Mandalorian hadn't yet had with his son. It's not clear exactly where we are in the galaxy timeline, but we probably aren't long past the moment where little Grogu made the astonishing choice for a new outfit over a phosphorescent sidearm and the ability to lift unlimited frogs from unlimited ponds. The sound lasted less than a second, but it was stuffed with 10 tons of "what the ferric, Dad?" Grogu had chosen a life as a Mandalorian over the only one he had known up until this point, as a Jedi. And Din Djarin hadn't told him that he wasn't even considered a Mandalorian anymore by his own creed. And Grogu, for all his playful cookie stealing, was old enough and observant enough to understand that his rescue probably had something to do with that. Watch this scene again. Din glanced down at Grogu as Grogu looked up at him. And I am telling you guys, underneath that helmet, there was 50 shades of, "I learned it from watching you, Dad." So Din did what every good father with an interpersonal communication does and changed the subject. And now we're in a redemption conversation. Baby Yoda, meanwhile, probably would have gone with Din even if he didn't have a covert or a job or even a bed to sleep in. And come to think of it, at this point he doesn't. Grogu bought the bearer of the Darksaber when his stock was at its lowest. This kid ain't letting go. When Din and the Armorer both take a bench to talk terms and planet devastation, Grogu sits between them. The camera shows a connection between all three characters, and the baby is the crux of it. Grogu is the hinge of the moment because he's the hinge of the entire series. The Armorer brought them together by declaring them a clan of two, but the quest she gave one of the Mandalorians in her care caused this destruction, and he was doing so in order to rescue the other one. And even while Din is speaking of Jawas and non-dead travelers, Grogu is mostly turned towards Anti-Armorer. He probably knows that she partially got Din into this mess, but she can also authorize his way out. And here, my friends, is where the Armorer really does all of her talking. After Din flat out says he will turn his face towards a high possibility of death to undergo the Mandalorian equivalent of confession and absolution, she says nothing. She thinks about it. And that's significant because this woman just plunged headlong into a sea choppy with the 100% chance of hungry prehistoric reptile. This show is at its best sometimes when it's at its most quiet. So after some long seconds of gazing at Din Djarin, and who can blame her, the matriarch turns her head to look at Grogu. She knows that this is the child whose safety has deemed such destruction, and she's savvy enough to discern that the destruction also included his father's entire Mandalorian identity. So, to give the child a wider family, a continuation of the clan, and his own life as a Mandalorian, the armorer sends Din and the baby on their way to the living waters. And for the first time in 3 seasons, an utterance of hers curves upward. Up until this moment, the armorer has only spoken in declarative, down-note sentences, even when she's asking a direct question, and that befits her authority. But now, just as Grogu has spoken to Mando with a rising pitch, so does she. She says, "This is the way," as in, fine, go for it. Not, "This is the way," as in, get your apostate Beskar self out of my covert. 4 words and 2 glances, one from a puppet and one from a helmet, are setting an entirely new course for this series. It was practically on an Andor level. Okay, so it's bold to hold a baptism in knee-deep water, where there's also an unholy offspring of Godzilla and the Florida University mascot. It's stupid to cram a band of pirates into a heavily thematic episode with the runtime of an 80s sitcom. And it makes 0 sense for the mechanically traumatized Din Djarin to insist upon reawakening a droid who just tried to murder him, his baby, and at least 2 innocent bystanders. But this episode delivered on one tiny significant moment for 2 characters who are the most mysterious. And that, my friends, is quite the trench run. Slap back in the comments, let me know what you think. For Fansided, I'm Mary Beth Ellis.